Shri Sai Satcharita, Chapter 28, Part 1, Preliminary. Sai is not finite or limited. He dwells in all beings, from ants and insects to God Brahma. He pervades all. Sai was well versed in the knowledge of the Vedas, as well as in the science of self realization. As he was proficient in both these, he was well fitted to be the Sadguru. Anyone, though learned but not able to awaken the disciples and establish them in self realization, does not deserve to be called a Sadguru. Generally, the worldly parents give birth to the body, but death invariably follows life. But Sadguru does away with both life and death, and so he is more kind and merciful than anybody. Sai Baba often say that let his man, devotee, be at any distance, 1,000 kos away from him. He will be drawn to Shirdi like a sparrow, with a thread tied to its feet. This chapter describes the stories of three such sparrows. First, Lala Lakshmikant. This gentleman was first serving in the Sri Venkateshwar Press in Mumbai, then in the railway department, and afterwards in the firm of Mers Raleigh Brothers and Company as a Munsi clerk. He came in Baba's contact in 1910. 1 or 2 months before Christmas, he saw in his dream at Santa Cruz, a suburb of Mumbai, an old man with a beard standing surrounded by his bhaktas. A few days later, he went to the house of his friend, Mr. Dattatreya Manjunath Bijur, to hear the kirtan by Das Ganu. It was and is always the practice of Das Ganu to keep Baba's picture in front of the audience while doing the kirtan. Lakshmi Chand was surprised to see the features of the old man he saw in his dream tallied exactly with those in the picture, and thus he came to the conclusion that the old man he saw in his dream was Sai Baba himself. The sight of this picture, Das Ganu's Kirtan, and the life of the saint Tukaram, on which Das Ganu discoursed, all these things made a deep impression on his mind, and he decided to go to Shirdi. It is always the experience of the Bhaktas that God always helps them in their search for Sadguru and other spiritual endeavors. That very night, a friend named Sankatra Rao knocked at his door and asked him whether he would accompany him to Shirdi. His joy knew no bounds, and he at once decided to go to Shirdi. He borrowed rupees 15 from his cousin and, after making due preparations, left for Shirdi. In the train, he and his friend Shankatra Rao did some bhajan, sang religious songs, and inquired about Sai Baba with some fellow passengers, four Mohammedans who were returning to their place near Shirdi. They all told them that Sai Baba was a great saint living in Shirdi for many years. When they reached Kopargaon, he wanted to buy some good guavas as offering to Baba, but he was so wrapped in the scenery and sights there that he forgot to purchase them. When they were nearing Shirdi, he was reminded of the guavas. Just then he saw an old woman with a guava basket on her head running after the Tonga. The Tonga was stopped and he gladly purchased some fruits. When the woman said, "Take all the rest and offer them on my behalf to Baba," the fact was that he had intended to purchase guavas but had forgotten to do so. The old woman's encounter and her devotion to Baba, all these were a pleasant surprise to both the friends, and Lakshmi Chand thought in his mind that the old woman might be some relation of the old man he saw in his dream. Then they drove on and came near Shirdi, and seeing flags on the masjid, They saluted them. With puja materials in hand, they went to the masjid and worshipped Baba with due ritual. Lakshmi Chand was much moved and was extremely happy to see Baba. He wrapped himself around with Baba's feet as a bee with a sweet smelling lotus. Then Baba spoke as follows. Cunning fellow, he does bhajan on the way and inquires from others. Why ask others? Everything we should see with our own eyes. Where is the necessity to question others? Just think for yourself whether your dream is true or not. Where are the necessity of the darshan by taking a loan from a Marwari? Is the heart's desire now satisfied? Hearing these words, Lakshmi Chand was wonderstruck at Baba's omniscience. He was at a loss to know how Baba came to know about all the things that had happened en route from his house to Shirdi. The chief thing to note in this respect is that Baba never liked people to borrow or take loan for his darshan or celebrating any holiday or making any pilgrimage. Shri Sai